Greetings, Andy here with another video, and this one is a roundup, a slightly delayed roundup I would say, of gap fillers. I call them gap fillers. They're mostly reissues, but some new releases, which were new a few years ago, and I've managed to pick up. Usually in a sale. So I've got 11 here, which I've sort of gradually acquired over the last 3 to 4 months, which I haven't shown before. So I thought I'd pull them all together and go a quick whiz through with you. And I'm starting, I'm sort of doing this in the order I sort of bought them, with the one which I bought ages ago first, and the most recent few at the end. So let's start with number 1, and it's the Durutti column and their second release, LC. Now I really like the Durutti column. It's a vehicle for the guitarist Vinnie Riley, and it was, I think, the first to sign to Factory Records. So I've mentioned them before if you don't know them. Manchester-based band, very distinctive guitar style. And in hindsight, when I did, if you watch my sort of what did I call it? Underrated guitarist, and had I thought of it at the time, I would have put Vinnie Riley in there, because he's a superb guitarist and with a very distinctive style. As I say, this was their second album. It's this reissue. Well, the original came out in 1981. This is a reissue from the last few years, and it's got some bonus stuff. So the original album is the first LP, which is on black vinyl, and the second LP, so that's the original remastered and so on. The second LP is described as singles and compilation tracks, originally issued in 1980 and 81 on various on factory compilations or on singles. And then there's also a 7-inch bonus single with 2 tracks from the first album, or their first album, their debut, which were recorded live. So lovely album. Really pleased to get this. I'm always on the lookout to build my Durutti column, because they sort of, but it was the 80s, they passed me by at the time, and I sort of discovered them much later, and I've been gradually filling my collection of them as I see a decent bargain. So that's the Durutti column, and then the second is another fill-in. So another category, should we say? I don't really think it's a genre, but a category that I've been building my collection of over the last few years is shoegaze. And this is from the debut from the band Ride, and it's called Nowhere. And it's a cracker. So Nowhere this album is considered generally to be one of the sort of top handful of classic shoegaze record, and I discovered, when I got this, I just did a bit of cataloguing and discovered that Ride actually were the band that were first described as shoegaze, because basically they when they were playing live, they sort of all stared at their guitar pedals. They're more sort of on the My Bloody Valentine end. They're not the sort of dream poppy stuff, but maybe not quite as heavy as My Bloody Valentine. But superb album, absolute classic. And this is very resplendent in blue. I'm sorry, look at my notes. It's a transparent Kurosawa, apparently, is the colour is described as. So I was going to say from the sublime to the ridiculous, but equally sublime in a slightly ridiculous way. It's Funkadelic, and again, I've been gradually collecting Funkadelic stuff. I mean, I didn't dislike him back in the 70s, but it wasn't a genre where I was buying music. I quite liked the odd track I heard. And But I really like it now, and every now and then I come across a reissue at a good price. This was in a sale, and it's One Nation. It's a reissue of One Nation Under a Groove. The original was out in 1978, so this was a 2023, fairly recent reissue, and it's got the original album on red vinyl. But it's also got a bonus, and it's variously described as 12-inch or single or special EP. So I'm going with a special EP, which is in green, sort of transparent, and that has, in addition, it's got another version of Maggot Brain on there, absolutely brilliant. And then the second side is a longer version of the title track of this, One Nation Under a Groove, called the Disco Mix, and it is brilliant. I actually prefer that to the original single. And there's the funk master himself in cartoon format. So it's Funkadelic and One Nation Under the Groove. Now, regular viewers of this will know that I'm very into post-rock, and one of my favourite post-rock bands is the Japanese band Mono, and I've got most of their stuff. I've got the odd album, about 3 or 4 on vinyl, and they've been quite prolific over the years. A couple of CDs and quite a lot of digital albums, which I've downloaded from their Bandcamp site, and but one album I have never had in any format is their debut, and I came across this. It was an email from the band, and it was an offer, and it's their debut record from 2001 called Under the Pipal Tree. So this was the first issue on vinyl, and it came out in 2017, obviously reissue. They were selling it directly from their store, and their store is in New York. So it was, the shipping was a bit more than I would have normally paid, but it was a good discount on the actual album, and it's such an important gap in my collection because I love Mono. In fact, they've got an album out this month, just released, which is on its way. I'm hoping that might be delivered today, and that must be their umpteenth. I don't know. I'll have to look that up when I do it on my month end of new releases. And they're also doing their 25th anniversary tour this year, and they're playing at a tiny venue in London later in November, I think it is, and I have a ticket to go and see that, so quite looking forward to it. And this is classic Mono post-rock. It is brilliant. As I say, it's called Under the Pipal Tree, and it's just it's a double on plain black vinyl. Obviously it was originally a CD, so spread over that. So those are the first ones I bought, and then I had a promotional voucher, reasonable value promotional voucher for Rough Trade. It wasn't their promotion; it was something else which came with a, with this voucher as part of the promotion. So I had a look in their sale, online sale, and picked up 4. Let me look. Was it 4? I think it was 4. 4 records. Again, sort of gap fillers. Just having a look on surfing online, and the first one is Green Day and their classic album Dookie, we're going to say it's Green Day. I picked up last year, I picked up a copy of American Idiot, which is really good, and these 2 albums are considered their classics. So I like Green Day. I don't really want any more, so that now completes my collection of Green Day. It's just on black vinyl, nice record. And another one which is sort of long been on my list to keep an eye open for, and another considered to be their classic album, and that is Wilco and Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, which came out in 2002 originally. This is the 20th anniversary reissue, so 2022. and it's spread across. It's a shortish double, spread across two LPs of thick, 180 gram vinyl, and it's a really good pressing. It's almost sort of audiophile standard, because nice wide grooves, shall we say, and it's just, there's sort of like 2 or 3 tracks on each side. It's indie, American indie, and it's a very good record. I like Wilco. I haven't maybe liked them enough to go buying lots of their records. I did buy their most recent release this year or late last year, can't remember. Yeah, I've enjoyed this one. I've only played it a couple of times, to be honest, so it's still in my sort of play now box. And as I say, it's a double, and it's just on black vinyl. Another Gap, another band I've always liked, but somehow, I'm not quite sure how, but somehow I've never gone out and bought any of their records. And there'll be sharp intakes of breath from some people I know on this one. And I'm talking Craftwork. No, I'm devoid of Craftwork on records. To be fair, I think I've got some sort of a CD compilation-y thing, but I can't remember. And this, this is a reissue of their album, The Man Machine. Obviously, that's the English translation of it. And it's rather fine record. The Robots, Space Lab, Metropolis, The Model, classic one, Neon Lights, and the title track, Man Machine. And it comes with a booklet of lots of pictures of the band, and it's very resplendent on red vinyl. So the fourth album I picked up on this, using this voucher, was I did go slightly over the value of it. Is Paul Weller and an orchestrated songbook, which came out in 2021, and it's with Jules Buckley, who's the conductor, and the BBC Symphony Orchestra. So I'm not sure what the original, whether there was a prom or something at the time, because obviously Jules Buckley and the BBC Symphony Orchestra is the main, main people on the proms. And this is a lovely album. So it's him with band, or some of his band, plus the full symphony orchestra, playing some of his great songs, classic songs. It's a sort of a best of, really, compilation, you could say. But obviously it's recorded live, and it's beautiful. It's got Wildwood, You Do Something to Me, White Horses, Moving On, You're the Best Thing, which features Boy George. Broken Stones features James Morrison. English Road. It's just a great album, and it's sort of songbook. They call it songbook, and there is a sort of booklet in the. Let me put it up a bit because it's out of view. A sort of booklet in the middle with lots of pictures of them. There they all are. I've only listened to it once. Really enjoyed it. So that's another one I'm gonna keep out. Then the last little batch I've only got in the last couple of weeks, so I had to pop it. Well, I didn't have to. I went into our local town centre in the last couple of weeks and popped into HMV. I felt obliged to have a look at their usual 3 for 55 quid selection. So they're normally like 25 quid a record, and then if you buy 3 it's sort of 55, so it's about 18 pounds roughly. They're all either sort of older new records, and 2 of these are like that, or reissues. They're all sealed, they're not used ones, and I picked up 3 again, good gap fillers, slightly serendipitous, you might say. That that looks interesting. The first one is one I have had on my list to keep an eye open for, and it's the debut from Michael Kiuka, called Home Again. I've got he's produced 3 studio albums. I've got his most recent one, which is probably 2 or 3 years old now, which is eponymous. You know, I've heard a lot of his about his debut and how good it is. And now I've got that, so I will be keeping my eyes open for the second one. So, you know, Michael, if you don't know him, he's a sort of singer-songwriter, plays mostly acoustic guitar, but it's sort of like soul with a little bit of funk in style. But at the end of the day, it's singer-songwriter, so it's a sort of mix of what you might call folk, funky folk, and soulful folk, shall we say. And this is a classic single LP, 5 tracks on each side, and it's just playing on black vinyl. Another band that I've heard bits of before and really enjoyed, but not gone out and looked at the record. I was slightly surprised to see this, a recent band, and it's Cigarettes After Sex, and this is their second studio album, which came out in 2019, and it's called Cry. I think their first one came out a couple of years earlier and was eponymous. I've not had that, and I believe they've got a new one coming out in the next few months, so I may well get that, because this is lovely, and it's just 9 tracks on a single LP, and it's really sort of check my notes on here. What did I say about it? Yeah, so they come from El Paso in Texas, and described as, and this is the word I was looking for, I've seen them described as slowcore, and I've absolutely no idea what slowcore means. So to me, they remind me a little bit of the dream pop, in the sort of bit like beach house. But it's very gentle music, but never boring. It's lovely, gentle sort of, not shoegazy really, but sort of on that dream pop end of it. It's not ambient either. It sort of doesn't really exactly fit one. Maybe that's what slowcore is, and I just don't know. So as I say, single on black vinyl, and last but not least, and this was a. Oh, that's interesting. A band I've liked a lot of their releases, single releases, and heard on the radio, but I've never bought or even considered buying an album. And it's Sparks, and this is called Past Tense, and it's the best of. So for me, this is perfect, because I don't want, I don't want to go out and buy a load of Sparks. I don't like them enough to do that. But a best of compilation is perfect, and this is brilliant value, because it's a triple LP with lots of their stuff. Now, obviously, it's got all the famous singles, but loads of stuff I don't really know on here as well. And it's lovely packaging, with the boys, or the men as they are now, on there. And it's, as I say, it's a triple. I've not actually listened to this yet, but each of the internal covers has got lots of information about them, and I think this is a bit of a bargain for £18 for a triple like this. And again, this came out in when was it new? 2019, I think. So it's not a reissue, same as the Cigarettes After Sex. It's it was a 2019. One which they've just got stock of, basically. So there you go. That's my 11 gap fillers, mostly reissues or recentest reissues, or sort of new releases from a few years ago. That and they were all discounted. So that's always a thing for me when I go searching for secondhand. Oh, not secondhand, but. For sort of reissues and gap fillers and stuff like that, I do like to see a bit of a bargain. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Cheers.